I'm Lizzie Harrison for Card Player TV, here with Erik Seidel. How's everything been going for you, Erik?
Not too bad.
Excellent. Well, I brought you here today because I want to talk a little bit about playing drawing hands on the flop in Hold'em. First of all, what would you say is the ideal way to play like the nut flush draw, the nut straight draw on the flop?
I'm the wrong guy to ask these questions of. I don't think there really is an ideal way. It really depends on who you're playing with. That's the problem.
Well, it seems like a lot of aggressive players these days, they're check raising all in every time. Is that an optimal play? Is that something that you want to be doing?
It can be effective, especially depending on the chip count. You know, there's kind of certain chip situations where it's a lot more effective because they're getting the right price to do it. There's the chance that they'll win the pot because the guy was bluffing, and then there's the chance that if they get called, they win anyway. So
what are some of the advantages of getting all your money in on the flop with a draw?
Well, the advantages are, the real advantage is that you're hoping your opponent folds.
Get them off the hand.
You know, there aren't too many spots where you want to call off all your money, although I see that happening a lot. But check raising can sometimes be very effective, yeah.
What about the risks involved with check raising or three betting or just playing your draws really aggressively?
Well, yeah, there are risks.
I mean, other than the obvious risk of missing your draw.
If you get called and the guy and your opponent has a set, then now you only have a 25% chance of winning, so that's a pretty big risk. But so that's one of the things that a good enough poker player will hopefully take a read and have a sense of whether or not he can win the pot by bluffing or just call the bet and take a card off.
Well, let's say you do flop a draw and you put your opponent on a hand that you don't think he's going to get away from, like two pair or set. Does it make any sense at that point to play very aggressively when the end result is going to be a coin flip, basically?
Yeah, at that point it doesn't. At that point you're much better off just calling, and then hopefully the right card comes for you, and then you can get your chips in.
So nowadays when you're playing poker, do you notice or do you think that when you see someone playing really aggressively on the flop, do you kind of think that they might be on a draw if it's a draw-heavy board? Maybe more so than 10 or 15 years ago?
I don't know about more so, because I think that there were a lot of aggressive players years ago, and there are a lot of aggressive players now. It's especially in terms of pushing draws. I saw it a lot. The first few years I started playing, and it's still going on.
But it's pretty rare for a player to push really hard on the flop with a made hand, right?
With a made hand, it depends, and also, I mean, it's kind of hard to read the players. It's harder in some ways to read the players now because people will sometimes do that, and I see also a lot of inexperienced players will get all their chips in the middle, when they have a huge hand, without trying to
to hide the fact that they have a huge hand.
Yeah,
they're up in their seat being like, oh,
I do see that a lot now.
Really?
Yeah.
So why do you think players would be that obvious at the tables? Is it just inexperience?
I think they want to win the hand there, and they're hoping that you have a big enough hand that you can call, and the thinking isn't all that deep sometimes.
So what factors go into you determining how you're going to play your draw on the flop?
Well, I don't know. I just try and I try and have a sense of what the strength of my opponent's hand.
Okay.
And how they play. I guess you're more likely to push a draw if you think it's somebody who will make a lay down. Don't ever try that play against any of the young guns.
Do you think that the young guns are just prone to calling? They just want to be in every pot, or what's going on?
They won't fold any hand, so that play would be lost on them.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming by today, Erik.
All right. Sure.
I'm Lizzie Harrison with Erik Seidel for Card Player TV.